Hello my fellow whale watchers, today's video will be a bit different because I mainly want to show you two great resources if you're interested on what the best builds in the game are at any given point. So let's start with the more obvious one. If you go into your League tab and you go to Legend League, you will realize that you can click on all 100 player profiles that are currently in Legend League of your respective platform and have a look at their hangars. Not only can you see robots and weapons, but you can also see modules, pilots and the skills that these pilots have. Just a quick reminder, the players in Legend League are not necessarily the best ones, but the most active ones. But nonetheless, as you mainly end up there because you play a lot, there is a quite reasonable correlation to a good skill level. Most players in Legend League also spend a fortune on this game. This also means that they can usually run a new build right away if they choose to do so. And that gives a quite good indication of the current meta at any given point. So now you could go into each and every player profile active in Legend League and extract the data that is shown there. Put them into nice diagrams if you want and get all kinds of useful information out of that. The only thing is that it would take you forever. But there is somebody who is already doing that. And that brings me to the not so obvious resource that you can use for finding out what the best builds in the game actually are. On Reddit, a user named Shady extracts this data almost every month and creates a Legend League report out of it. And he shares it for free. I leave the link to his latest post in this video's description in case you're interested. So let's have a look at one of his charts from February 2022 in order to understand why this is so powerful. Here you see the names of robots on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis you can see the amounts of these robots in Legend League hangars in a given month and in the 2 months before. So this basically gives you a great indication on which robots are meta at any given point. In December 2021, January and February 2022, not surprisingly, that was Fafnirs and Revenants. And in fact, if you remember this particular period, there was not so much more around back in the day. Revenants and Fafnirs were the thing to run beginning of this year, with the roaches being the most common starting bots. And then in mid-February a new robot was introduced, the Capri. And already in these few days a lot of Legend League players managed to get one, level up one and use them in one of their main hangars. In case you were wondering why there was this huge jump here of the Siren, well, the Siren is considered to be slightly more powerful than the Harpy, and in February 2022 a new pilot was introduced for them, Young Lee, who provided shield breaker while their abilities were active, so you can clearly see that this was a game changer. So let's look at the same diagram that Shady created, but this time for July 2022, and it looks like this. It basically depicts what all of us that are currently in Champion League experience on the battlefield. There's only one robot that is meta at the moment, and this is the Capri. It is the best brawler, the best beacon capper, the best supporter, the best tank in the game at the moment. So it is not surprising that it is the dominant robot in Legend League. I also briefly talked about it in my latest War Robots Basics tutorial. If you're going for performance on the battlefield, there is simply no reason to go for anything else than a Capri. So hangars with 4 or 5 Capris are very common now in Legend League. Now we are in August 2022, but I can guarantee you that if nothing changes, eventually there will be even more Capris shown on this bar. Shady also provided another useful chart showing the preferred weapon sets on the Capris, and it looks like this. 62% run cudgels and the rest basically scatters. So also this is not surprising, the brawling builds of the Capri are the most powerful ones. What about weapons in general? When it comes to heavy weapons, punches are rocking. Occasionally we also find the new decay and smoother weapons there. Hammers and Devastators as brawling weapons, but remember, heavy weapons don't fit on the Capri, so there are actually very few heavy weapons used in Legend League in general. What about medium weapons? There is no puncher equivalent for medium weapons, so here the classic brawling weapons are still in the lead, Mace and Havocs. Followed by a few Rastors that are probably run by some veterans that seek for a variety on a Typhon or something. So now look at the absolute numbers here for a second. We have 72 Mace weapons, 65 Havocs and 47 Rastors used in Legend League. Alright? Remember these numbers, because in the next chart we will look at the most popular light weapons. 610 cudgels and 327 scatters are used in Legend League. That's almost by factor 10 more cudgels than maces. And that's only because of the fact that the Capri is so OP. So these charts are actually a great indicator of things that are wrong in this game. And this is very wrong. No combo should ever be so powerful that it outnumbers all other combos combined. This is really just bad for the game. But who knows, maybe at one point when enough Capris and Cudgels are sold, Pixonic will nerf them. So let's have a quick look at Titans, and here it's a bit more balanced, but there are still two dominant ones, the Luchador and the Muramets. Most probably in the next update there will be a Titan rebalance, so you can expect these numbers will flatten out a bit. Titan weapons, it's a similar story. The dominant ones these days are Cinders, the blinding weapons and the new magnetic ones. Occasionally still somebody uses a Grom. What are the most popular builds? For the Minos it's basically just Cinders. For the Luchador it's basically just Grom and Cinder. Shurangas work great with Gargantua. And the Muramets is a bit divided between the blinding lasers and the magnetic weapons. Both of them seem equally powerful. Finally, let's look at some of the Legend League data of the new robot that was recently introduced, the Seraph. By far the most popular weapon for a Seraph is the Puncher. When I use my Seraph, this is also my preferred setup. And here, Shady also provided very useful information on the module and pilot setups that are used for Seraphs these days. You can see that a nuclear amplifier with 2 repair amplifiers is the most popular setup, followed by 2 nuclear amplifiers with 1 repair amplifier. That's also what you would expect, this is simply the current meta. 76% of Legend League players are using Trixie as pilot. Not sure if Pixonic wanted this, but in combination with the most popular active module, this is simply the way to go. At least until the new Seraph pilot will be introduced, then this may change dramatically. Remember what happened to the Siren when Yang Li was released. Finally, pilot skills. Armor Expert is the most popular pilot skill for the Seraph, not surprising, followed by Destroyer and Cautious Pilot. So you can see how much we can actually learn from information that is freely available, and how useful this is for assessing what the strongest builds are in the game, and what you may want to go for next. But also it shows us what some of the biggest problems in the game actually are, and also indicates how they could be solved, if Pixonic decides to do so. The data showing huge imbalances is available, but unfortunately it also requires action to correct them. So at the end of this video, thanks again to Shady from Reddit for the great work that he's doing for our community. Thanks for watching this video and see you on my channel.